Imagine working your way up from the bottom, fighting your way through the chaos of one of the most intense kitchens in the world, Las Vegas. Now imagine doing it while balancing the pressure of being a husband and a father of 5. Sounds impossible, right? Well, today's guest is living proof that it is not. He's a chef who's seen it all, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. From late night shifts to facing the mental toll of the job, Daniel Martinez is here to reveal the real stories behind the apron. But in this episode, it's not just about food. It's about what it takes to survive and succeed in the fast-paced, high-stakes world of Las Vegas cuisine. Family, mental health, and what it truly means to be a chef in one of the most competitive cities today. This is my cousin, my mentor, and one of the hardest working chefs I know. And today, he shares it all. My name is Chef Ismael Torres, and this is Chef Ismael's Kitchen Quest. Daniel Martinez, thank you so much for joining me today. You are not only a chef, but you're also my cousin and my mentor. And I think that having you on this platform is extremely important because you completely shaped the way I've believed in. You've completely shaped the way I looked into the culinary industry. You've helped me through tough times in my career, and we've obviously grown up together. And so I feel that my audience will definitely get a kick into listening to who the person who was part in molding me in my career today, as well as someone who I grew up with. So not only is it a professional thing, but it's also a personal thing for me. So I'm extremely excited and honored to have you on this podcast. And I look forward to your answers to these questions that I have for you. So I want to get into your introduction, also your early journey into the culinary industry. So can you share your story about how you first fell in love with cooking?
Oh, man. Honestly, cooking wasn't even my first choice or my second or third. Cooking just kind of fell into my hands. Originally, I wanted to be a dentist. And I was really looking into that coming out of my senior year in high school. And then I was kind of like just kind of looking at what interests me and what I really wanted to do. And then one thing was being a journeyman, so like electrician. And so I went to the union and I applied and I did the test and all that stuff that they do. And then while I was working, because I started working since high school at Disneyland, I was working as a busser. So that's kind of like when I put my foot in first in the restaurants. And I just slowly got sucked into it, honestly. And I realized that it's a place where you can meet all sorts of different people, different attitudes, different perspectives, and you all get along, It's really an interesting place. But yeah, shortly after that, I went to culinary school. And at the same time when I started culinary school at the Art Institute back in 2008, I had just gotten accepted to be a journeyman. So I was like in that place where I was like, okay, should I continue? Because I was maybe like a week into school, or should I do this, And it was kind of a no-brainer, honestly. It was I just like being in the kitchen, and that's where it all just kind of slowly developed to where I'm at, which is honestly kind of talking about it, looking back, I'm honestly shocked at how it all went, honestly. Interesting.
So you just mentioned that you went to the Culinary Arts Institute. So what was it like studying in that school, and how did it shape your career?
Um, the way that it shaped me was when I started going there, it was in so the cooking aspect of it, I already knew that I was gonna learn it outside of school, but I was mostly interested in the business, um, knowing the numbers, understanding what it is that they're doing, and I felt how do you say unearned of the name of chef when they would talk to me there. They were like chef, chef, and I was kind of like, so I'm a cook, I'm a co-mean, I am still learning, what it is that I'm doing. But obviously, numbers was more of my stronger side to going to school than it was actually learning all these different cuisines that they teach you.
So who were your biggest influences early on before who were your biggest influences early on, both inside and outside of the kitchen?
Early influences. So it was funny. So when I worked at Disneyland, unfortunately, I got fired. But before I got let go, um, for being misbehaving, basically, um, there was a little culinary program that they have, and all the employees got to do it, and they had us cleaning halibut, making the wine sauces, and we were I was in the quick service, at that time, QSR, and we got to actually cook with people from Club 33, like I think like three people, and obviously seeing their knowledge and how comfortable they were with being in under pressure, which now that I look back at it, it was pretty basic. But and I see why they behave that certain way. But for me, at that point, I knew nothing, and I gravitated towards the fact that he's cooking with wine, he's cooking with shallots, and he's reducing it to a certain point, and then adding butter to it to give it a nice coat to it, and then serving it with I can't even remember what it was, but um, yeah, that culinary program, which I'm not sure if they're even still doing it in Disneyland, but it really did impact me to the point where it kind of set me off on this journey that I'm in that I started when I was, I believe, 17. Huh?
Yeah, no, it's funny because when we look at these techniques and we don't even know what they're called, right? We're just seeing them, dice up shallots, but we don't know if it's a brunoise. We don't know if it's
Yeah.
smoked onions. We just know that they're dicing up shallots. There's fire going on,
Yeah.
and for someone who was as new as you were, or even as I was when I was looking at these chefs cooking in that certain way, we we naturally gravitate towards it because we're just like, whoa, this is pretty cool. Now we're working with some legitimate knives, we're working with wine, we're working with set ingredients. And so when we're doing things like when we see that, we want to learn and we want to be part of that. And now, like you said, it's so basic. We don't
Yeah.
even think twice about it. We just do it. But like again, like I said, just basic cooking, and it looks so cool because people are moving so seamlessly. But when we're holding a knife for the first time, we're just like, how do you even hold one? You know? But no, I think that's pretty cool.
No, it's funny that you mentioned that. I remember while you're searching, I remember seeing it didn't flame obviously because it was wine, but it interested me when he was cooking the shallots, and then I could smell the fragrance. Like, then I was like, what herb is that? Why is he putting garlic, and how much garlic, and why does he only smash it instead of chopping it? Why is he putting the whole thyme in there? Why is he using fresh instead of dry? And then I started kind of like I left with more questions and with answers, and it like I don't know, it ate me up, not knowing, it was just like, I need to know, like, why, why, like, why did you put butter at that point? Why did you reduce it to that point? Um, why do you even reduce it in general? Why not just heat it up and then put butter, So like a lot of things were in my head that was kind of like the curiosity really like drove you in. And then looking back at it now, the knowledge that I have now is like, it's so minuscule, like this little thing that, that you get caught up on is honestly such a huge part of a dish. It's not even funny. It's like super like just the sauce, you know. You're not even thinking about protein.
I mean,
You're not even thinking about the fat, the acid, the textures. You're not taking, layering. You're not even considering not even plating, so, or even what plate to use, what course to put it on, what wine to pair it with, what season to use it in. Like, oh my God, like looking back at it now, I'm just like I was obviously like not even in the realm of even understanding um why a wine sauce is made that way, and then like even going into what kind of wine, either a fortified wine or just a basic, Cabernet Sauvignon or a Merlot or Pinot. And, people that obviously don't know what, these wines are, they're going to be like, what is he talking about? But they all really do have their own characteristics. And but yeah, man, there's so much like levels to it. I try not to sound too young, like these new kids are. My wife's always giving me crap about it, but there is levels to it, and understanding what it is and why it goes. But yeah, that's kind of like why I started.
so I have a paid subscription service where people join my page, and I started something new where they can ask my guest a question. And so one of the questions that I received was, is culinary school worth it? In your opinion, is it worth it?
So culinary school for me, it all depends really where you learn it. Um, it all depends on the price range, to be honest. I would never recommend somebody to take out a student loan that they don't feel comfortable with. But at the same time, I don't want people to kind of deviate from it, and actually doing what they want to do, you know? So, but I think for me, culinary school, for me, it was worth it. I did focus more on the business side of it, and that's the honest truth. Um, because it kind of gave me leverage in understanding what was going on at that time. Even though I was just a prep cook, my brain was already piecing together. Okay, so if this restaurant's making this much money a year, then I already know, what the ballpark salaries are, ballpark food costs, and why they're so, you know, fixated on, why are you throwing away the scraps, Um, and then it just, honestly, for me, yes, it was worth it. Um, you also do, if you actually honestly do well in it, don't, how do I say, don't be narcissistic, basically, because that same culinary school that you're learning, and maybe the guy next to you is honestly really bad. But you don't know that maybe their uncle is a chef, you know, at a really nice restaurant and he's just learning, or you don't know if they have connections, with people from a different state that maybe you might want to work in. Um, Try not to piss off the instructor that is clearly the most difficult one in the school, because there's a reason why they're like that, So definitely if you're gonna go to a culinary school, in my opinion, it is worth it if you're trying to network and understand what it is that goes into this business if you're serious about it. So yes.
Awesome. No, that's a great point of view. I actually never thought about the networking side of things. And I completely agree with you on the whole uh, narcissistic side of the culinary students, because I've seen a lot of culinary students just graduating from school, and they're just like, I'm a chef, or they want to jump into that role right away and not know what it is to work at a restaurant.
Yeah.
You know? And it, I mean, I think learning how to cook and learning how to be a follower first, and then you can jump into that role of a leader. That's something that, you can progress over time. But just because you're out of culinary school, I mean, it kind of sucks, because like you could see the amount of potential that they have, especially since they have that formal training. But the moment they start to act a certain way, it kind of destroys the reputation totally. So I want to get into your family and mental health or subject about this. And so you're a husband and a father of 5.
Yeah.
How has your family shaped your perspective as a chef? Because so let me segue into that one, because as chefs, we don't have lives. Our life is in the kitchen, and we spend more time with our cooks than with anybody else. And I have said this to my team in the past, where I spend more time with you guys, my cooks, than with my own son. And so when it comes down to it, like there has to be some sort of like, when it comes down to it, there has to be some sort of a family um aspect of it. And in a way, I don't know if that makes sense, um but I want to know, how has your family shaped your perspective as a chef?
Oh man. That is that's huge, honestly. Um so when I first started cooking, I didn't have a kid. Um so I was very obviously I'm selfish, you know. It's just me, and it's true, like I don't mean to make it in a negative way, but it is what it is, you would naturally become selfish even as children, as even as a child, you are selfish, I want this because I want, you know, but becoming a father very early on, it definitely kind of it depends really because everybody's situation is different. For my situation, it definitely stopped me from wanting to be a chef at that point because being a cook, you work 8 hours. You know what I mean? You work 8 hours and then you go home, and sometimes you do overtime because somebody calls it or you pick up an extra shift. But at the end of the day, you still get to go home after a few hours, you know? And it's funny because for me, a full time job into your salary is a part time job. You know what I mean? Once you're a salary, that's a real full time job, But definitely having kids and having a wife and working on these issues, not issues, but working on these things that obviously happen to everyday people, um, it does affect you a lot. And I say this um, in a way where I want to really open the eyes to people that if you're going to be going into this industry and you're planning on having a big family, really think about it. Really, like, honestly think about it. I mean, it is not easy. And you are right. Um, I know more about my cooks' personal lives, issues, health than my own kids sometimes. Um, I've even forgotten my own birthday. You know, my wife would remind me. She goes, "Hey, it's your birthday tomorrow," and I'm just like, "Oh, I'm already thinking about like 2, 3, 4 days ahead for the meetings that I have and vendors that I got to see and food costs I need to meet, you know, at the end of the month and, you know, etc. You know, but I try not to divert the conversation, but yeah, family definitely is a huge aspect in how it shapes your view and your progress in the culinary world, for sure.
So you're not a mental health expert, neither am I. We're just chefs talking. Okay. now, I'm gonna ask you this question because this is
Yes.
your perspective on how this is. Okay. So this is not mental health advice or anything like that. This is strictly um, based off your experience. Okay. So mental health in the culinary industry is a growing topic. So how do you manage stress and how do you stay grounded?
Um, Trusting the people around you, um, training the people around you to do the job right, and holding people accountable. Um, Obviously, you're one person. And if you have a kitchen of 15 plus cooks, which is honestly a small kitchen, I mean, if you really start looking into prep cooks, hotline, or say you're doing hotels where you have 3 shifts, and each shift you have, I don't know, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cooks at any given time. Um, you really have to take the time to teach people how to do their job so that when you ask them, hey, can you do the walk-ins? Can you check the temperatures? Can you give me a count on these items? Uh, hey, what did we sell a lot today? You know, these are little bits of information that is very good to ask your line cooks. And obviously they know, you know, it's only one of you and 30 of them or 40 of them. You know, you're obviously outnumbered, but it's all about how you use your people, man. I mean, honestly, as a leader, if you don't, and I say leader because, and not boss, because nobody wants a boss, you know, everybody wants a leader. And you lead by example, you know, so when it's time for you to be on the chopping block, you take it, and then when it's their turn, they say, yes, chef, and they take it, you know, but, definitely, man, you gotta train your people. And this is something that I struggled learning in the beginning. Again, that narcissism is like notorious in our industry. But if you don't teach people and you don't help people grow with you, man, you're gonna go crazy, man. It's just not even funny. I've seen it. It's happened to me before. You'd be surprised how quick the kitchen can turn on you. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Like, it's just, I have like so many stories. But yeah, man, it's just yeah, from my personal experience, man, training.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I mean, my first time becoming a chef, I really had a hard time delegating anything to anyone because I've had that mentality where it was like, um, where I said, if I want something to be done right, I'm gonna do it myself, you know? And so not giving my team that trust nor uh the opportunity to even grow
Yeah.
with me like that. I mean, it can really hinder not only yourself, but also demoralize your team because you don't know who wants to grow if you're not giving them the opportunity to
Yeah.
grow. And so that's something that I definitely had to learn the hard way, where I needed to disperse the amount of work. And it just takes of course, it only takes time out of your day in order for this to, in order for them to understand how to do a certain thing till they get it right to your standards,
Yeah.
essentially. Now, what advice would you give to chefs who struggle with balancing their personal lives and personal ambition and professional ambitions?
This is something that I'm working on myself, and it's honestly helped me out a lot. You have to talk to your partner, man. For a long time, I kind of, how do you say, in my mind, I knew everything that I was doing. As far as, okay, I got to wake up at this time. I got to do these things at this time. I have to leave at this time because I drive this long. And then when I get there, like you kind of already have your schedule planned out. But your partner doesn't, your partner's not there to see you, you know, get your ass handed to you, like for the next 6 hours during service. And then, 3-4 hours before service, you're scrambling to put in your order on time before cutoff time. Man, I mean, like, honestly, communicating, talking to your partner is, I learned the hard way, because my wife was pissed, because she was just like, all you do is just come home and sleep, then you leave again, and as a chef, that's going to piss you off because that's not what you do. You're like, do you realize I just got destroyed with 700 covers? We just broke such and such money. We just hit a record tonight. You know, like I just managed the entire team. We flipped the restaurant more than twice. Like these are little things that they don't know and they don't realize how much work it goes into. But it doesn't help when you don't share how you feel. When you don't let them know that, hey, you know what? Like, I'm really overwhelmed. I'm tired. When I come home, I use so much of my brain power at work because you have to be sharp. You have to be on. You have to be like, go, and then when somebody asks you a question, you answer it, you know, um, and your partner doesn't know that, they don't see that, and then when they do come to the restaurant, they see the show. You come out and you say, hey, how's everybody doing? You do that routine, where you present yourself a certain way, not only because of your wife or your husband or, your family, your mom, your dad, your sister, whoever's there, it's because people around the table are also seeing you. They see you, they hear you, they're looking at you, they're observing how you carry yourself. All these things, so, and obviously in front of them, you have to, you know, feel a certain, present yourself, that was weird. But, but yeah, personal life and your work life is, you really have to communicate whoever you're with, even if you're not with somebody, maybe your mom, your dad, let them know, like, hey, like I'm tired, and when I come home on my days off, I just want to sleep because your brain is checked out, you're tired, and all you want to do is get that extra hour or two of sleep. And man, it does wonders for you, but yeah, man, it's just talking, man. And as chefs, we're not good at that. It's, I'm not proud to say it, but, it is definitely something that I've been working on, and, I've gotten better at it, especially with my kids. I'm very proud of my oldest because he is probably one of the most understanding, one of my kids that I have, and now he's going to be 15 already. But it makes me almost tear up, thinking about him because he is. I believe in him,
Mhm.
and he is constantly like showing results, and then I always talk to him, like, hey, I'm not there for all your award ceremonies, all these things that happen to you that are really great. But just letting him know that I'm proud of him is is a good way of communicating and having that relationship because man, talking is not one of our things. We talk to people, but we don't really express, how we feel, to the people that really should hear it. That's true.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, man, I think part of that is because of the way we grew up. Um,
Yeah.
our dads were very strict. And so, teaching us like, hey, don't cry, or like, just man up essentially, right?
Yeah.
Um, but that's very, very cool that he's doing an amazing job. I'm seeing that he's doing absolutely amazing in school. I'm seeing that he's doing, great in his extracurricular activities. And most importantly, he's an amazing big brother, and I see it. And I think that's whenever you guys come over and I see him, I could definitely see the maturity level continuously growing, and he's way more mature. He's he's more mature than his age reflects. I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Um, and so it makes me happy to be able to see him grow that way.
Yeah.
And although us being at work the majority of our time, it's the moms who are the ones who are raising them more than
Right.
father at
Yeah.
this point.
Definitely.
And yeah, no, and so like it's absolutely amazing
And
that
I gotta say, like, I give so much credit to my wife. Like, I'll be honest, like, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have made it this far, you
right.
know? And I think a lot of people need to hear this. When you have a really great chef that has been married for a very long time, just know that that woman next to him is very strong,
Yeah.
because and I know, like, we're not home, and things still need to get done around the house. Bills need to get paid, because we remember that we have to pay the vendors. We have to meet food costs. We have to, make sure that, we get these certain supplies. We got to make sure we call in a certain amount of staff, and, we make sure that we schedule people. We know that, okay, he has vacation time. He asked for an extra day off. He has medical conditions. We know all these things, but, honestly, my wife has been one of the strongest reasons, just the foundation alone, um, of helping me, like, I think a lot of people don't understand how strong of a woman you have to be to be able to stand next to a chef, because man,
Not easy.
it is not easy, especially when you have kids, you know what I mean? You have, family issues and stuff like that. They're the ones that handle it, They are your general manager, you know, and you are just kind of like, when you get home, you're tired, man, so they're the ones that kind of clue you in on these things, and like from my personal perspective, like shoot, on my days off, which are days off, um, when you're with them, they remind you, hey, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. And it's very easy to lose your temper and to be like, I just want to relax, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to take a breather and realize that, hey, yes, you do work very hard. Yes, you do a lot of things at work, but in your personal life, there are things that need to get done, you know, and that doesn't stop, and then it's not fair to put it on your wife, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I want to talk about Las Vegas because that's where you're currently at right now. And Las Vegas is known for its vibrant and competitive culinary scene.
Yes.
There's restaurants literally not only down the strip, but outside of the strip, Old Town Las Vegas. My personal favorite are the ones outside of the strip. Thanks
Yes.
for showing me the restaurants outside of the strip. So, what is it like being a chef in such a dynamic city?
um, it's honestly, you kind of get sucked into your own little world. So while you're there, you don't really realize it, you know, until you kind of step away from it, and then you're like, holy shit, like I got to work with this person and I got to see this person and meet this person and be around all these, very talented people. Um, Vegas is an incredible city to be a chef in. Incredible. There is always something happening. There's things that you tell me that are happening that I'm just like, really? Like, because there's so much going on, like it's so difficult to keep up with everything. It's just, if people don't realize, it's like in a stretch of 3 miles, you have events, you have stars, you have so many things, and you kind of become numb to it after a while, where you're just kind of like, hey, that's VIP, that's what it is, but then you geek out when it's like, hey, that's VIP for, Lil Wayne, or, that's VIP for, I don't know what people like J Lo, or, what I mean, and then people are like, oh my God, that's my favorite, and then they work extra hard, but at the same time, it kind of like, hey, you still have a lot of tickets, don't just, forget about everything, So that's why we just kind of say VIP, but the city is city of opportunity, there's so much that goes on in this city that you really do get sucked into it, and you don't even realize it, that you're like a part of this huge ecosystem of networking chefs that, man, are really talented, and they have great ideas, and they bounce ideas off of one another, and then they just kind of like, what do you think about this? Did you try that? Oh yeah, try that. That tastes like crap. I would never do that again, and like just so many things, but yeah, just, and I will say Vegas, if this goes for anyone, if you're planning to live in Vegas, um, it is not for the people that can either fall into any kind of, how do you say, if you don't have discipline, self-discipline, don't come here.
Yeah, it's the vices that will get you.
Yes, the vices will definitely get you. Unfortunately, there have been a lot of talented people, and I mean people that can really cook me, be a better chef than me, that unfortunately fall into these vices that, man, it's sad. It's you see it in you try to help, and you try to let them know, like, hey man, like maybe let's not go out, and they're just like, what are you, my dad? And it's like fair, fair, But I will say, and then you kind of look like the square, and then they're just like, "Man, shut up, bro. Like, let's drink, Like, all right, cool, but it is not for the weak. Um,
I mean,
yeah,
it's okay to be a square. There's nothing wrong with being a square.
so it's all right to be a square, but you also got to know how to loosen up.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, the Las Vegas, I mean, every time I visit, it's, there's so much going on. Lights are all over the place. I'm hearing a bunch of bells ringing. I'm hearing people screaming either of anger or because they're happy because they won a jackpot. I'm not there to gamble. I mean, sure, we'll play a $5 hand of
yeah,
blackjack or whatever it is, but I'm not going to be there to gamble. I'm there because I want to learn. And, I'm not only am I learning, the different types of cuisines that they have out there, but I'm also learning of how they're running their service. I'm learning how they're running um, the hotel. I'm learning all these things because as chefs, we're looking at those things. We're constantly looking at, how fast is the kitchen moving? Is this an open kitchen? Are they clean? What's going on? Type of thing. So with that being said, you've worked in multiple historic restaurants, multiple historic hotels. Can you share a memorable story or an experience you've had in working in the Las Vegas kitchen?
it's a lot. Um, Before I get into that, as far as clean kitchens go, I've never worked in one, but I personally have to say In and Out is probably one of the ballsiest fast food restaurants and very clean. They're not paying me to say this. They are not sponsoring me in any way. This is my honest opinion. For you to have windows surround your entire prep backline, people can see you're walking. You know what I mean? They can see what's inside. Um, it is honestly a incredibly clean kitchen. It is a restaurant, and for people that don't know what In and Out is, it's a fast food chain, that's on the West Coast that serve classic, California style burgers. And man, it is a machine. That place
In
is a
and Out
machine.
is In and Out is one of the greatest burger spots in the country, and
Yeah,
I've tried burgers from all over the country, and nothing tops In and Out. So,
yeah,
just wanted to say that.
yeah. And it was just, man, even right now, I wouldn't mind going for a double double. You know what I mean? It's just like it's definitely such a simple menu,
Yeah.
but man, do they crank out food there? It's like it's just thinking about how, like, just the drive through alone. It's just like, bro, like the line is like who knows how many cars long, and it still moves. And like I just got to give credit to those people that have worked at In and Out or are currently working In and Out. They are an amazing group of people, and there's a lot to learn. And anybody that watches this, go to In and Out. I strongly suggest the double double. It's just man. But as far as your question goes for memorable, man, there is a lot. Does it have to be like celebrities or just kind of something that
Anything. Anything
anything?
set in your mind, yeah.
Honestly, it's the simple things for me. Um, how is it? Well, I'll give an example of something that maybe people won't be able to understand. but I got to hold a 1 pound truffle one time that we bought. It was a white truffle, and it was a pound, and it was a couple $1,000s. But my hands are huge. You know what I mean? Like my hands are huge, and when I held that truffle, it covered my entire hand, and I still have a picture of it to this day, and I will never delete it because I still remind my one of my biggest mentors. His name is Chef Chris. Um, his full name is Chris Shane CYC. That's just the way he has it. But he's an incredible chef. He has trained me a lot, and fortunately, when he was teaching me, I was just a sous chef at Nobu, and yeah, he gave me this truffle, and he's like, "Look what I bought," and I was like, "Truffles," you know what I mean? And then I took it out, and I was like, "What is this? Like, are you crazy?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "We're selling that," and we did. We sold every gram of it, which was insane. But yeah, it's just for anybody that doesn't know what truffles are, they're little mushrooms that grow in the earth that have an intense smell. And if you ever get to try it, or you ever go to a restaurant that has it, I definitely recommend trying it. Shave it as thin as possible. That way you can really enjoy bites of it. But yeah, man, it's just holding a 1 pound truffle, half kilo, which was insane. I never thought I would hold a mushroom that big, like especially a white truffle. I was like, Jesus. And another thing was something more simple was man, trying legitimate ramen, like really good ramen that is cooked properly, bone broth and all. Not mess with, you're not doing all these preservatives and all this stuff. Just a solid ramen, and it kind of hits the soul, and I see why there's so many ramen shops, that you get to, especially here in Vegas. One that I enjoyed going is Sora Ramen. I don't know if you've gone. I think I'd mentioned it to you, but that's definitely one. And I used to go to what's the ramen, the anime ramen that I told you about?
It's the one with the sculptures, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this very with sculptures, and it makes it look
Spring Mountain.
immersive.
Yeah. Man, I forgot what the ramen shop is called, but
You drove
yeah.
right by it.
Yeah, well, you'll drive by it, like, and you wouldn't even realize it until you actually like look at it, because there's so many little restaurants and shops there. But definitely that's probably one of trying really good ramen, like just straight up solid food, it's simple, but just yeah.
So you're mentioning that there's a ton of restaurants. We all know this. In my opinion, I think it's the foodie capital of the world. Not only are you getting your QSRs, which is a quick service restaurant, but you're also getting your Michelin star restaurants out there, right? And and there's everything in between. One of the best buffets in the world, are in Vegas, and so forth. So being able to experience all of that, right, with so many celebrity chefs and high profile restaurants in Vegas, how do you carve out your own identity in Vegas? How do you carve out your own identity?
It's hard, man.
Yeah.
Working in these restaurants, it is very easy to blend in, because you can look at Instagram, a restaurant's Instagram, and you'll see like an amazing presentation, and it's very easy to just copy and paste. You know what I mean? It's I think you hear my puppy in the back, but she is my baby. He is my baby. It's Shadow. But it's very hard to stand out. Because this town is so packed with so many restaurants. It's, I mean, you can throw a rock and hit the next restaurant. You know what I mean? That is doing the same dishes as you. You know, it is, for example, this is something that my mentor, Chef Chris, changed multiple times and is probably still changing it to this day. Is crispy rice with tuna. Something that Nobu came up with. The presentation on that. There's so many ways to present crispy rice, you know, and there's what Mizumi, Nobu, Wakuda. Uh, I don't even know what other restaurants. I mean, it's just so many Japanese restaurants that are doing crispy rice because honestly, Nobu is probably one of the biggest trendsetters of the Japanese culinary world here in the US that people don't really understand how far he really does go. But you can easily blend in with everybody else. And it doesn't just go for Japanese. I mean, you're talking about French, Spanish food, or maybe, you know, Gordon Ramsay style, you know. How many beef Wellingtons are there out there, you know, and what are the different styles, you know, and what are the other things that, you know, that he does that other restaurants do, you know? So you really have to really focus in on your flavors, you know, your flavors and your quality, you know, because it's unfortunate, but when you do something really well, people are going to be like, oh, that was really good. And they'll tell maybe a couple people. But when you F something up, they will tell the entire world. You know what I mean? Bad news is spreads so much more faster than good news. You know what I mean? And that goes with reviews, you know? So yeah, man, it's just, you really have to have solid flavors, in order to even keep up in the game, you know, and your presentation should reflect that, you know, even if you change the plate, and I don't mean this in a hypothetical way, dozens of times, you change that plate dozens of times if you have to. You know, if you see on Instagram that somebody's using the same bowl for the same item that you are, change it, you know, because you don't want to blend. You know, you don't want to be like, oh, yeah, I remember at this restaurant. Oh, that just grinds you. You know what I mean? It's just like, bro, like, I don't want to hear
Yeah.
that.
No, I definitely see where you're coming from with that because, you know, Las Vegas is such a competitive city. Everyone's trying to gain your business and it's so money driven. To me, it seems a little bit confusing because are they doing it because they care about the art or are they doing it because they want your money? And so that's the way I look at it. Um, Either way, though, I think it's good for the diners, for those who are visiting, because you're going to get a different experience anytime you go to a different restaurant, whether it be French cuisine, Japanese cuisine. Um, and I have to say, Nobu, in my personal opinion, has been one of my favorite restaurants to go to in terms of Japanese cuisine. Actually, in all cuisine,
Yeah.
um, it has because I can go to San Diego, eat, you know, there's sashimi there, their yellowtail sashimi, and then I can go to Vegas and eat their yellowtail sashimi, and it'd be the exact same thing,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's definitely one of the key factors of any restaurant is to have consistency. And then on top of that, when you're branching out to different cities, it's hard to maintain that consistency. But Nobu has done an excellent job doing that. Um, So what advice would you give to chefs who aspire to work in a city as unique as Las Vegas?
Don't be a dick. Let's just say it how it is. If like I said, if you're a narcissist, you're not gonna get very far. It is true. Um, when you know somebody in Vegas, it does get you very far, but that only gets you in the door. It doesn't mean that you're gonna stay there, because if you're all bluff, all fluff, you know, it won't even be it won't even be a week out, you know. It's like, get out of here, dude. Like, you don't even know what you're doing, you know. You're see through, and not only that, but like when people are really good on resume, and then when they come here and they try to, they try to pull their ways, you'd be surprised how many cooks are like, you don't know who you're messing with, like you better watch yourself, and they get uncomfortable when they leave, it's very quick. The weak ones always leave, and the strong ones always get along with everybody very quickly because, you're able to keep up, like, you talk to talk, and you're walking where you're talking, like, obviously I'm already in my mid 30s. I don't move as fast as I did when I was in my 20s, but there's some people that even some old timers, man, they'll school you, man. They'll school you, dude. They're just like, they're moving, real smooth. They're, doing this, doing that, but they're working circles around you, because you're doing all these extra movements and all these things that, they're not necessary, and they're producing better results than you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, I think that's good advice just in general. But I think in Vegas it's a lot more magnified, because like you mentioned, the strip is a 3-mile radius, right? It's just 3 miles of just road, or not road, but of all restaurants and hotels. So the chefs know each other.
oh yeah.
And it's so quick that one chef from Caesar's Palace can go to, let's say to Excalibur, right? Let's say that, and they just talk to each other. Hey, do you know said person? You know what? Yeah, but I had to let him go because of this. Okay, well now you're not hired, right?
Well, it's not like that. It's more like, it's kind of more like, hey,
oh, I heard. Yeah.
how's such and such, work from this year to this year. Cool. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't share, obviously, the intimate details of why, but
right.
When you have a really good recommendation, it's not even like it's done. Like, you're already in. Like, hey, do you know such and such from this year? From 2010 to 2013, did you know this person? Oh yeah, man. Solid, bro. Go for it. He's telling myself what's up. Cool. Done. Like, you're already like, hey man, this is the pay. How soon can you start? Blah 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 blah. Like, it's quick, man. Like, it's not even a joke, Like, that's how it is. That's how it moves fast.
Yeah, that's definitely. I could definitely see that. I've never worked in Vegas, so I wouldn't know. But I guess basic politicking, whether it be at Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, or wherever, I was working at in the past. Like, I think it's a lot of politics, but also a lot of it has to do with you and your personality. Nobody wants to work with a jerk, right? Nobody wants to spend 8, 10, 12 hours next to someone that they can't really, get along with. So,
but I will say this: don't be a jerk, but know when to be a jerk. You know what I mean? Like, there's a balance. You know what I mean? Then
You don't want to be pushed around either.
yeah, man, don't be the nice guy that, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll stay. Yeah, I'll like, if you're always like that, man, bro, you're gonna have a long day, you know? You know? Fortunately, I was like that for a while where I was like, yeah, like I'll work, I'll do this and I'll do that. And then after a while, I was just like, man, get off of me, bro. Like, step off, or you're gonna find out, and that's the truth, um like, don't be a jerk, but also be a stand-up person, don't try to be somebody you're not, if people know that, hey man, Chef Ismael doesn't like it when you put pepper over here, or like me, like I hate mixing salt and pepper. Like if I fucking see it, I'm gonna throw it at you. You're not like I like. There's things, dude, that I just can't stand, dude. Like you pre-mix salt pepper, dude. Like I'm gonna throw something at you, dude. Like it's not even funny. Like there's things that there's things that like just like don't do it. Don't cross me while I'm in the past. Reaching for something. Ask for it. If you see me in work mode and you see me running the pass, don't mess around. Don't knock me off of my groove. Things like that. Like it's just things that like every chef has that you're just like, don't set me off. Like not to pre-mix all the beurre blanc with herbs, because obviously the herbs are going to go dark and it's going to look like by the time 30 minutes pass, like those are just things that you just don't do, and then people are like, well, you're off today, and then you show up and they're like, oh, I gotta make all the sauces from scratch again, because I pre-mix butter into it, like, and they're just like, like, why are you scrambling, so it goes back to training, but definitely don't be a pushover. Huh?
So, how does the Las Vegas dining scene differ from the other cities you worked at before?
So every time I go to, like, obviously, I try to, since I now have a lot of kids and they're small still, I don't really travel too much, I kind of go to the surrounding states, Utah, or, go back home to California. I know definitely I'm going to Arizona again. My father-in-law, he's the one kind of like that took me there. But it's very competitive, man. Especially when we call strip prices, there's the strip prices and then there's restaurants, like, for example, one restaurant I want to go to is called Partage, and that's on Spring Mountain, and it's a fine dining French restaurant. And don't think because it's not on the strip that it is not fine dining. It is fine dining. It's just they're not charging what they charge on the strip because they're not on the strip. Which is a restaurant that I've been really wanting to go lately, and now that I do have a chance to go. But yeah, man, it's just the scene is so different because it's so competitive that when you do have those high value guests come in and you fail to deliver, man, you know what I mean? Like, there's a GM that I know, that just having a crooked fork sets him off. He's just like taking deep breaths in the back, and he's just like, oh, like, why did you sip the tea like that? The water's too hot, or the glass is polished, like basic things, that, in a high end, restaurant, is basic for us. But for some people, it's like, like, oh, the glass looks clean. Like, no, it doesn't look perfect, but, yeah, man, when you're on the strip, man, you just, compared to California, is very different. You kind of relax, that's okay. the appetizer took 3 more minutes, than it should have, when you're only paying $10, $12. But then you get an appetizer that you're paying $30. It better be on time. It better be on time, and if it's not on time, you better bring me something that I can snack on while you make me wait, But I think that's probably the biggest difference, man. It's just the level of standard, it's not the same. A lot of people don't really realize it. Obviously when you're eating at a cafe, it's more relaxed in the strip. But when you're spending $300 a person, including wine, it better be good. It better be good. My puppy, he hears me. But it better be good. It better be solid. It better be on time. It better be hot. Or if it's cold, it better be cold. Getting a salad on a warm plate is, it's catastrophic. It's like, oh my God, like I can't believe,
So me not ever working in Las Vegas, it seems, and only sticking to Southern California, it seems a lot faster, a faster pace in terms of service, in terms of turning tables. And so I could definitely see where that comes from. And then on top of that, with the strip prices, you are expecting a certain level of service as well. But I could definitely see where that's coming from. So what's the most valuable lesson you've learned in the kitchen?
Most valuable is learn from your mistakes. If you don't learn from your mistakes and you don't take it seriously, you're just waste of potential. You can have all the potential. I have met some people with more potential than me that unfortunately didn't get very far because they're stuck, with them having to be right, or they're stuck at, well, I'm the best at this, or they're stuck that you better respect me because I worked here. You know what I mean? If you don't learn from your mistakes, like, hey, learn how to ask for help. Obviously, if you're always asking for help, either A, there's something going on your station, or B, you suck. Like, it's just, like, I don't know what to say, because if I can work your station and I nail it and I'm by myself, either A, like, your chef is not training you, or B, you're not learning from your mistakes, you're not learning from stop, doing these things that keep setting you behind, like having a dirty station, not having a stock station, not stocking while you have time, when it slows down, take that time to stock, take that time to get your station back up to prep, you know what I mean? And instead you just talk and then you bitch about, I'm behind, I need help. It's like, dude, you're not learning. You know what I mean? You're doing the same crap again and again and again, like, so that's probably my biggest thing, learning from your mistakes, man.
So for aspiring chefs who are listening, what are the key skills or attitudes they need to have to succeed?
Listen, stop talking. Because a lot of chefs are not perfect. There are some chefs that are obviously very talented and maybe they're not good at numbers. And you take note of that. So even from a chef that you don't like, you can learn a lot. Listening to their mistakes, or seeing what they do that you don't like. You're like, I'm never going to do that, So those are things that, as a chef, man, like, if you want to become a chef, man, you even from a bad kitchen, you learn. There's a lot, man. There's information everywhere. You know, even if you think, oh man, this kitchen sucks. It's like, okay, well, what makes it suck? You know, if you can't answer that question, then you're just like, that sucks. It's like, well, obviously you're not really looking. You know what's going on, but understanding what's going on is completely different thing. It's completely different.
I have two culinary controversial questions for you. Okay. Pineapple on pizza. Culinary abomination or misunderstood masterpiece?
I understand why people hate that, but I like pineapple. I'll take the heat. I don't care. You know what I mean? I'll take it. It is what it is. But but yeah, like pineapple on pizza. I mean, I like it. But it can't be. I hate it when it's like that canned pineapple.
Yeah, it can't be canned. Cannot be canned.
I'm just making sure my dog's not eating my cable right now.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I think it's definitely a misunderstood masterpiece. I mean, the acidity, the sweetness, and then the saltiness from the mozzarella, it goes well, and I've never had an issue with it. I mean, I think it wasn't until I heard Gordon Ramsay say that he had an issue with pineapple on pizza, and I'm like, you know what? I disagree with you, bro. Like, I can't. I like pineapple on pizza, and I will be burning with you on that hill. Yeah. I'll stand with you on that hill. And then another question for you is what's a culinary rule that you think is overrated or unnecessary?
I think this one hits home for me is not speaking up how you feel. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't quit their jobs; they quit their chef. You know what I mean? They quit their leaders. 9 out of 10 times, a lot of people they like where they work, but they just cannot quit the person that is leading them there. You know what I mean? Or unfortunately, is a boss. The reason why I say leaders and bosses are different is because the leader will show you and guide you and make you grow, and the boss is just there to tell you what to do. There is no growth. There is just do this, do that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, just not being able to talk about, hey, I think this is bullshit. I think this is a waste of time. And obviously, as a cook, sometimes you don't know what's going on in the back, with owners and, what they do and the decisions that they make and why they have certain menu items that, or you're just like, dude, it's a waste of money, but, it's just, it is what it is, I think that rule is pretty bullshitty, where you're just kind of like expected to be the only two words that come out of your mouth is just chef. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like everybody should be pulling their chef to the side and giving them this long speech about why they don't like it. But the moments that you do decide to speak out, make it worth it. Because if a chef sees that you're just bitching and complaining, every time you talk to them, they're just going to be like, here we go again. What's wrong? The cheese grater was on the left and it wasn't on the right. And I want it on the left. It's like, I told everybody on the right. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, those are little things that you're just like, bro, like, why are you, make it matter. If you're going to express yourself, be like, hey, I feel like this is not okay because, I feel like you're putting me on the spot, or, hey, like, I don't like how the sous chef is talking to me. If he has a problem with me, let's talk it out, because you don't know what that person is going through, or personal lives, or, or personal, and you don't know if maybe that person, like, their pet just died, that they've loved, forever, and they're trying to cope with that while working 12 hours, and you're like, why is my sous chef being such a dick to me, Like, why is he always giving me crap, And it's like, you don't know what they're going through, Something as, for me, it's not little, For me, if I were to lose my dog, like, it hurts, and some people it hurts even more, and it can go for any pet, but just kind of like, the point is, you don't know what that person's going through, what's happening to them, so when they come to work, they kind of almost bring that with them, and that's kind of the time where you're like, hey man, like, chef, like, such and such is kind of like being a dick to me all the time, like, what's up, and then maybe they'll be like, hey, they have high expectations from you and you're just not meeting them. You started strong and now you're just doing your job like to the bare minimum. You know what I mean? And, there's things underneath there that you probably don't know about. And you're like, hey, what's going on? And then you talk it out, you learn, but that overrule, that rule of, I only want to hear 2 words from you is yes, chef. And that's it. That's all I care about. I think it's bullshit.
That's a very interesting question or answer. And the cooks who probably just heard that, you definitely have to choose your battles.
Yeah.
And you don't want to pull your chef aside for something as minuscule as a cheese grater be on the right rather than the left, and I think you brought up a perfect example where, say maybe a chef called you out in front of everybody in an unprofessional manner, maybe, hey, pull them aside to the, at the end of the shift or whatever it was, or at the end of a busy rush and be like, hey, I think you could have probably approached this in a different way. I respect you, and so forth, but, I completely
it's like you pissed me off,
Yeah, no, I completely understand where you're coming from with that, and I think, like I said, you definitely have to choose your battles, especially in a corporate setting like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know, and like, you have a really, like, the way you worded it, it makes sense, because, like, there's times where I've snapped at cooks and I've raised my voice, and they get offended, and luckily I've had really good, cooks that they pull me aside and they're like, hey, chef, you didn't have to yell at me. I would have still done what you wanted without yelling at me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be like, you know what? You're right. Maybe I didn't have to yell at you, but I yelled at you because I told you 3 times, and those 3 times you messed it up 3 times straight. So that's why I yelled at you. And they're like, okay. And it's like, you don't want to get yelled at. Learn from your mistakes, If you keep repeating the same mistake, don't be surprised if I yell at you. And unfortunately, that's how you grow, and a lot of people that are very sheltered and, not used to being told no. And if you're going to be in the restaurant industry, ooh, my Lord, you better get ready. Like, you're going to have a hard time because when you work in really competitive high-end restaurants, it's not really the chefs or the managers you got to worry about. The staff around you, man, they will make your 8 hours feel like an eternity, because at the end of the day, like, say for a server, if you're going to get a whole point, basically a cut of the tip pool, and he's having to work even harder because of you, and you feel that you don't have to work that hard, he's going to ride your ass. You know what I mean? It's not fair, you know, because everybody has to work the same, you know, and especially as a line cook too, you know, as a line cook, if you're not putting in your work and you're making your partner work even harder than he already has to, man, don't be surprised if, you know, if the cook is like, what are you doing? You know, and then you're like, oh, you know, it's not really the chefs you have to worry about. You know, sometimes the very staff themselves, man, if you don't live up to the expectation, man, they'll let you know, man. They'll bury you, dude. They will bury you to the point where you're just like, I hate this industry. I never want to work there ever again. You know, I can't stand this place. You know, and they have all these negative things to say, you know, and unfortunately, sometimes they're the weakest, you know. It is what it is.
Yeah, no, Vegas is a completely different beast in terms of the culinary industry. I mean, oof, like you have to I don't think it's me personally. I mean, if I were to go to Vegas where I'm at today now, I mean, I feel like I'd do fine, but if I went to Vegas when I first started, no way. I don't think I would have been able to hang in my honest opinion, because again, it's so fast paced. The level of service it's at a much higher standard than what it is here in California in general. But I could definitely see where that's where you're coming from with that.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. Not every restaurant in Vegas is top notch. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, you know,
You know,
yes,
like
right. You're right.
every unfortunately every place has their weak links, you know what I mean? And justifiably so, because not every restaurant can be perfect. It's like you going to California and you expect every burger joint to have the best burger ever because it's a California burger. No. There's gonna be some places that you're gonna be like, dude, what the hell did we do stepping in here? I'm out of my mind for even thinking about eating here. You know what I mean? And in Vegas, there's plenty of places like that. You know, plenty. Like, I'm not gonna tell you that Vegas is number one, and you know, New York, you know, has the worst places. You know, because Vegas also has really bad places. You know, to dine. You know, there's places that you're gonna be like, dude, I would never want to step here ever again. You know, but just know that for anybody that does want to come to Vegas, don't burn bridges. Don't be humble to the point where, you know, you're not proud, you know, for your work, but don't be to the point where you're arrogant, you know, because it does take a team to do what you got to do. And especially like really great chefs have a really great team of people around them that they lift up together. And whenever you get into a high level kitchen, you will see it, because you're gonna be like, these cooks are hard. Like, they're hard on me. They talk at me, you know, like they tell me like, no, you know, that's wrong. You know, what are you doing? Why? You know, and then it's not even the chef telling them anything. They're like, what the hell? You're a cook just like me. It's like, yeah, but that cook is ready to be a sous chef. You know, he's ready for the next step. He's not getting ready when the position is up. He's getting ready now before the position's up, so that when it does come up, he goes right in, you know? So like, it's kind of pretty much how it should be, you know? Sorry, my dog is like
No, it's cool.
sitting on my foot.
So, some fun and personal questions. What's one food trend you secretly love or hate?
Secretly love? Man, I love phones
Okay.
and hate compressing. I just have to say it. I worked at a molecular gastronomy restaurant for a while, And phones for me now they've taken the time to evolve and get better. Before, back when I was doing it in 2008, when Elbow Yi was really taking off, you kind of had to figure it out on your own, because Elbow Yi, yeah, they had a book and stuff, but there's things in that book that are clearly missing, and the recipe is not correct. All these recipes that you get from a lot of these cookbooks, they're not the real recipe, so you got to tweak it, so yeah, man, when I worked at that molecular gastronomy restaurant, like compressing, I just got overrated after a while. I was like, if I see one more fucking watermelon compressed, I'm gonna throw the whole melon at you. Like, I cannot, like, oh, but foams, like, I like foams because depending on what you're trying to accomplish, maybe just like a very airy or maybe a gelatin base, like, it's just whatever it is that you're really trying to do, there's still fun ways to incorporate it. But personally, for me, compressing, I just like, it's like, dude, you're just putting the crowd back and just compress, and it's like, when you take the time to like tweak your phone and you start realizing, okay, maybe, a quarter gram less of this, a quarter gram more of that, heat it up to this temperature and then shock down, or heat it up and then let it cool down on its own. You start learning all these little things that you're like, oh, El Bullibo didn't have that. I didn't know that you're not supposed to chill it down. I didn't know you were supposed to chill it down immediately. These are little things that, that a lot of these recipe books don't have, and these are little key things that, that really, man, make or break your stuff, man. But when you finally find out, you're like, oh, like, you're like, that's it. Like, like, yeah, that's it. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you come over, I'll make sure to compress some melon for you.
You really will throw something at you. Like, you will trigger me, man. Like, I just.
So, if you could cook at any restaurant in the world, where would you cook? Or where would you want to cook?
At any restaurant that's already open?
Any restaurant in the world. Or maybe if you could work under any chef, who would it be?
Oh, what's the head chef come from Pujo from Mexico City?
Oh, Chef Javier.
Is it Javier? No.
No. It's
Enrique Olvera.
Olvera.
If I could work, it would be Enrique Olvera's restaurant.
Pujol.
It wouldn't be the one in New York or in California. It would be the one in Mexico. I got to work with Chef Jesus, incredible chef. We did Wakuda made a collaborating dinner with Enrique Olvera, and I got to meet the head chef from Cosmo in New York, and then the head chef from Mexico City, Jesus. And man, honestly, awesome guy. Very welcoming. But the reason why I would want to go is because I was surprised at how many Japanese techniques he was using, man. I was like, it set me back. I was like, what's up, man? Like, what's like, he was doing a technique called kombujime. There's different, everybody has like their own little variation of how to do it. Some places they soak the kombu, and it all depends on what kind of kombu you use. So the dry seaweed, and then they cover the protein, whichever fish, and they let the natural umami flavors of the kombu soak into the fish, and it kind of cures it, It's a really interesting technique. But yeah, he did the snapper and he did a kombujime style. And then when I saw the walk-in, I was like, what's going on here? Like, you guys are, it was like, this is like good technique, you know? And then he had a tare, which is a soy base, just to simplify it. That when he was grilling the fish on the binchotan, he was brushing the skin and he was making sure it wasn't burning, but yet, you know, getting that nice crisp. I was just like, bro, I was like, okay, like I see it, you know, and then doing a lot of little things that you like, if you know if you understand what he's doing, you're like, damn, like you're not playing around, you know. Like, this is not just any ordinary cooking. Like, you understand what you're doing. And yeah, man, like the madre mole is like,
Yeah. Um, so you are right. It is in DF. I just thought it was in Puebla because you know how mole originated from Puebla. So, but yeah, la madre mole. How many days does it take to cook? Was it like 1,000 or something
no,
like that?
it's like, it has so many ingredients in it. So it has like the madre mole, then it has like the new mole, like inside with so the way that he did it at Wakuda, he had the mole, like the two moles, and then the tortilla with the hoja santa on the other side of it.
Mhm.
And just the time that it took to make the tortilla, I was like, bro, like I was like, it's just tortillas, you know what I mean? But
Takes way longer than it should.
way longer, dude. Like it's not even funny. Like, and then it made me understand, like, for us, you know, yeah, it's just a tortilla. But at that restaurant, it's not just a tortilla. You know what I mean? Like, if all you're serving is mole in a tortilla, it better be on point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not
Yeah.
playing.
I mean, so that dish, in my personal, the way I look at it, has so much historical value.
Yeah.
And he really paid respects to basically our heritage as Mexicans, because mole originated in Puebla. And Puebla, if you look at it, Puebla is like the spot where they had the final batalla of, you know, for their independence. And then on top of that, the tortilla, which has been something that has been in a staple in Mexican cuisine since the Aztec time, you know, since the time of the Aztec Empire. And so for him to combine those two dishes and to make it the signature dish of Pujol, I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it. He could have a completely different meaning to it, but as an art, that's the way I'm looking at it, is more of a historical term, a historical way of looking at it. And it really does pay respects to what it is to be a Mexican, and, you know, just in general, as a country as a whole, you know.
Yeah. Like, when I got to work that dinner, um, it's crazy. Like, I don't have pictures of all these things that happened to me. I know there was like a camera guy like taking pictures, and I wish I knew how to get those pictures, but it's in the moment where you don't even care about having your phone out because you're in the moment, you know? And then when I got to eat the mole in front of him, it's funny, like, I realized that he doesn't get tired of the fact that when he looks at you and he sees your eyes widen, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't get sick of that reaction, you know? So like when he's like, try it. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. He's like, we have time, you know, like the last course just went out, I know, for this one. Okay, you know, and then he watched me, you know, do it, you know, and he told his chef, he's like, hey, give me a tortilla, you know, blah, blah. So I tried it, and then he stared at me, and then he was just like, good, huh? I was like, yeah, this, and I was like, dude, this is like not even a joke, you know? Like, I was like scraping the sauce, you know, because I was like, man, this is not a joke, you know, like, but his food is really, evolving, man. Like I mean, being around, Chef Olvera, like he's very welcoming. You can see that in it, that look in his eyes where he does care about the food because he was cooking it.
Hmm.
It wasn't like he was just like, you guys do what you gotta do. No, he was on the Binchotan grill. He was actually like watching it. Making sure that everything was right, tasting everything. Hey, I want to taste this. Like he was very hands on, and I respect that a lot. Like seeing that, it's like man, it's like, and then being face to face with him, talking, having a conversation, even though everybody's like trying to talk to him, and I'm more like reserved, and then I try to not, impose too much, because I don't want to be that annoying, guy that's just like, bro, shut up. But I thanked him, and I told him, like, what I had to say. But definitely, yeah, that would be one of my restaurants that I would want to work, even if I didn't get paid. I would just work just to stage, just to be there, and I think my wife would probably hate me for it. Like she would just be like, really? Like we're on vacation, and I'm just like, I can't help it, like it's like I
Yeah.
have to see, because you get to try food that, you know, a lot of people will never get to taste. A lot of people will never get to try, like our family will never taste, a lot of this stuff that we eat, you know. Like my wife was like, you ate, otoro sashimi with caviar and gold flake, like yeah, twice. For what? For the tasting room. And you just do this, like, well, we're doing R&D, like we're making sure things are right, and then I'll tell her like, oh yeah, I tried like 5 different caviars today, and she'll just stare at me like, here's your fucking rice and beans, you know what I mean? She'll just be like, and she'll glare at me, like, and you didn't bring anything. And I was like, I'm not gonna bring you a whole tin of caviar. It's the restaurants, like, but yeah, I mean, like even at Resort World when I got to work there, um, and they brought like Kugoshima Wagyu, man, like it got to the point where I was just like, I don't even want to eat any more Wagyu, it's just so much. But just paying respects, to the food and understanding the quality. Like it's just people will never understand it, like especially for the lucky few that do get to try it and you actually like appreciate what it is that goes into it, then you realize the price tag. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so that's why you charge so much the ounce of Wagyu. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, so now I understand why bluefin is so expensive. Or Toro, True Toro, you know what I mean? You're just like, okay, now I get it, But it takes time, It takes time to learn all this stuff, when you slowly, how do you say, when you eat a bad piece of steak, and then you eat Wagyu, you're like, bro, like it's like night and day, It's like a different planet, it's not even the same. Like, all right, I love America, okay? I love America. I love America. But our prime is not even the lowest grade in Japan.
Yeah.
It's not even the lowest. Do you understand how bad that is? Like our prime is not even on the chart in Japan. Like it's ridiculous. Like the quality, of meat over there, like, and then just to realize they haven't even been eating beef that long, it's just amazing. But yeah, man, just Peugeot, man. Fucking, like,
Yeah. He's definitely I mean by the looks of his Instagram posts, he seems like a very chill guy too. So very laid back and just enjoys what he does. Um so it's 2 a.m. right now. Um yeah, I know, we lost track of time. Um for our viewers who are listening right now, do you have any final words?
man, think for anybody that reviews restaurants, obviously there is times where, yeah, service is bad, you know. But just know that there is a big team of people that really do care, and they really do put their heart and soul into what they do. And try not to just be so like, because it's easy to write a bad review. You know what I mean? And they have every right to express their opinion, you know. But I think some people lose track of the fact that these words that are being typed or being said, you know, they do go to the people that work their ass off, you know, that dedicate their lives to this, you know, that, you know, they go without seeing their families, you know, like it's very easy to dismiss, you know. But just know that in every restaurant, you know, there's a group of people that are amazing, man. It's an amazing world, man. It's just the restaurant business is you get to meet so many people. It's crazy. Like it's crazy, man. We have to make like a separate podcast just to even talk about like all the stories that I have. Like it's just, oh man, yeah. That's all I really have to say. You know, just try not to be a dick to your server either, please. Like, man, unless the server is being rude, okay, I get it. But if you see your server running around, most likely they have 4 to 5 tables that they're trying to do and trying to, you know, try not to snap their fingers. Oh my God. Don't snap your fingers at your server. They will hit you and they will talk about you behind your back. But yeah, you know, just people being understanding with each other, you know. Care about people. You know, you should care about people. And I think this world is, or not just world, but I think the Las Vegas is missing that, you know what I mean? You know, when people come and they just, you know, like, what's taking so long? Like, man, shut up, man. It's only been 3 minutes, bro. Chill. You know what I mean? But yeah, you know, that's all I really have to say.
Well, I mean, I would love to have a part 2 to this. You know, there's so much going on right now, especially with the holidays coming up, and then as well as the amount of work that we are going through right now because it is the holiday season. But I definitely would love to continue to talk to you about this. Like I said, it's 2:05 right now in the morning, talking about, you know, the restaurant industry, which is normal because we're usually up at this time anyways, doing inventory or order or scheduling, you know. So but I mean, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to do this. You know, sit down here with me and talk to me about your personal experiences with the hospitality industry, especially in working in such a unique location such as Las Vegas. And I'm sure there's going to be more. We couldn't fit the amount of information that you have in just however long this podcast is going to be. So I definitely would love to schedule a part 2 to this. And but I mean, other than that, you know, thank you so much. And you know, I look forward to seeing you next time when you're here in California, or maybe even a phone call.
Yeah, man, for sure. Thank you for having me. I'm just glad to be able to share and then shine some light into some people that, you know, unfortunately they don't get to share their stuff, but you know, shine some light and kind of let them be heard, you know, stuff like that.
No, absolutely, man. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, you too.